Shabbat Shalom. Shalom, shalom, hey, powwow, welcome to this powwow. Hey man, I just want to finish where we left off. We getting into that, first of all, the languages of the Hebrew people. Alright, we getting into that language, and we're trying to figure out what's all this about. Is you indigenous or not? What it's all about. We're about the land, soil. We about the language. We about the Ruach of the Most High. We ain't about no idols. So welcome back to the land, my indigenous people. I'm talking to you, the so-called Naga, the so-called Mexican, the so-called Puerto Rican. I'm talking to you, my so-called Naga. Alright, my indigenous, Autochton. My Pueblo, my Anasazi. So we back in the water, man. I just wanted to give y'all that part two. We back in the water. Check it out. We gonna keep it moving.
Off we go. Next episode. See, they got those kind of shoes. They won't slip that much. Man, I wish they had all with a cane, man. I don't know why. Say that again. Good times, good times. Oh, this is pretty deep. How y'all feel? Got some sandal type shit. Hold this real quick. I gotta go, it's still going. Right.
Wow, y'all see me? I got a booger in my nose or something, but we out here way up in the forest, as you can see. See the beautiful climate, see the beautiful atmosphere, see the beautiful surroundings, man. Check it out. Look at that. You see the Shabbatah? All in the water, man. We in the water. We all the water, man. I told y'all that before. Yeah, check them out. KB Assassin. Got AD in the water. Got the boys in the water. CJ and the fam. We out here, man. We just having a good old time. You see me with my staff. Jumping off. Beautiful staff. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. All's well. Out to the sky, man. Most High. Love it, man. This is a tribal mafia, man. This is the Shabbatah. 4-3 at the 2 equals a 9 above the firmament, man. We in the barrier, man. Chasing hounds. It's a beautiful thing. Check it out. Get your swerve on, AD. Get your swerve on. See AD walk on water. Watch AD walk on water. Boy out there looking like they. Hey, them rocks big though. The walk on. Bro taking his time. KB taking his time. Where y'all going? Now, if you peep it, what we're doing is they call it waving. So we're waving in the water, waving in the water. That's just trying to travel upstream in the water, man. Waving in the water. Check it out. Shabbat Shalom. How y'all feeling, man? I hope everybody feeling well. You know, we jumping right into it. Welcome back. Welcome black. Welcome all that. Alright? But understand what purity. Understand this white. Understand this purity. Understand this cedar of Lebanon. But forget all that with the words and getting it all twisted. Alright? We're here to let the children understand we are the indigenous. Yes, the mound builders, okay? Not pyramids. We didn't build no pyramids, man. We are the mound builders. This is the Central America, North, South, and Central America, alright? This is the east of the North, South, and Central Americas, Ame'ricans. Alright, so we just gonna hit you over here with a truth, with a little food. We're coming with fact. Alright, so indigenous mound builders, the Anasazi, alright, not pyramids. Alright, and as we know, the pyramids are what? Are electrical 440 vortex grids, or whatever the hell you want to call it, but we know them as slave grids. Come on, we talking about Kemet. You talking about Kemet. Let's go over to Kemet. My homie, hey, the big homie Thoth. Alright, what you know about Kemet, son? Alright, let's check out the emerald tablets. Those of you know about the emerald tablets, you know how they get down. Alright, you know about Thoth. You know about these ancient tablets being around 50,000 years, right? So they say this is no other than your boy. You know what I'm saying? From the other realm. This is Thoth right here, man. I'm just joking and all playing, you know, just trying to keep humor with the situation. But in the real spiel, man, we talking about the indigenous mound builders. We're not talking about the pyramids and who built the pyramids and all these things. We already know who built the pyramids. Alright, slaves built the pyramids, but under whose discretion was it? Under whose authority? Under Thoth's authority. Alright, so let's check this out. Who is Thoth? Who is Gabriel? Alright, if you don't know that, then you need to just back up a little bit. So we want to get into, first of all, we're hitting you over the history of Thoth. We're going back to the emerald tablets, okay? Going back to the emerald tablets. But what we want to do is we want to go to where are we looking at? We want to go to where actually Thoth admitted to building the pyramids, okay, and admitted to what type of vibration the pyramids were. Alright. Okay, so first of all, let's get into a little bit about Thoth. If you didn't know, we just want to run through this. I, Thoth, the Atlantean, master of masteries, keeper of records, mighty king, magician, living from generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Amenti. Okay, set down for the guidance of those that are to come after, these records of mighty wisdom of the great Atlanteans. Okay, so remember, man, we want to go through a bunch of things. We talking the Grand Canyons, the Grand Canyons, proof of the Grand Canyons being what they are, the old Egypt. Okay, the old Egypt, the old Babylon, whatever you call it, we call it Egypt. Okay, so the Grand Canyons bearing forms of certain pyramids. All right, bearing certain pyramids, and we want to get into that. The Isis Temple, the Tower of Set, the Tower of Ra, this Babylonian Egypt over in Grand Canyons. But what's most important is that we want to pull out from the Grand Canyons. They pulled out these ancestral people or priests. Those were priest burials, priest tombs, and they were pulling out. Those were the tribes, the 10 tribes, from the 10 tribes of Israel. So this is all from Smithsonian and Kincaid in 1909, where that dates back to, and think about when they just started this research in 1909, they just started this, what is that, photography, the first, like I told you before, the first photographic study of the Maya. The Maya was the first people to be photographed and studied. The first photograph study of the Maya wasn't made until 1876. So we talking about this 1909, just 20 something years later. All right, 20, 30 years later. The first scientific study, wasn't made until 1891 by Sir Alfred Maudslay, okay, Percival Maudslay. And the first photographic study wasn't until 1876. All right, so we're going to get into that because this is all proof. First of all, that those people who invaded didn't have any idea what they were talking about, or even exploring, or anything. Okay, they had to learn all these things. Okay, and they just start learning these things. So you gotta ask, out of all the information that's been given to us by our oppressor, how much of it can be accurate? Not much. Okay, now the new school cats is what's actually putting all the pieces together and understanding or overstanding that, hey, you've been hijacked. All right, you've been hijacked from another side of the world, and you've been hijacked by your oppressors, man. So we want to get into all of this stuff, man. We want to get into all of this about the Grand Canyons. We want to get into, and also about the Mayan and the Yucatan, the conquest. What's the name of that book? We want to get into, where is it at? I got it around here somewhere. I got it in the bag, best believe. I got it in the bag, but we'll get into that. It's called the Yucatan, before and after the conquest. All right, the book of Chalam Balam. We want to get into that. They call it the priest of Baal. So we want to get into that, what was going on, the rise of the Hunic seal, and all of those, that Maya and the Maya Pan being the Spanish. But we want to get into that. But first of all, we want to check out what is Thoth talking about as far as these pyramids, so we can just conquer this pyramid analysis, and talking about Kim that they got more pyramids over there, but we really don't care about that. We talking about these ancient lands and what we are ownership of, what we are the caretakers of. All right, so we know who Thoth is. In the great city Kior on the island Undal, in the past time I began this incarnation. Not as little men of the present age did the mighty ones of Atlantis live and die, but rather from eon to eon did they renew their life in the halls of Amenti, where the river flows. All right, we talking about deep inside of the earth, or we talking about from eon to eon. But check this out, because what we want to do is get into the fact. Okay, now he's saying, then beware, O men of Kim. All right, so he's talking about Kim. All right, I want to show you what happened actually with him. Let me show you, okay. 100 times 10, I will descend from darkness. Okay, now this thought, okay, 100 times 10, I have descended from a dark way that led unto light. And as many times I have ascended from the darkness into light, my strength. Okay, but I just want to let you know, thought, for one, lets you know that he is not God. He is not the Most High. Okay, he has a Father. Okay, so with that being said, we already know, all right, which is, you know, which is our Father. Okay, so give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So then beware, O men of Kim, if ye have falsely betrayed my teachings, for I have cast ye down for your high estate into darkness of the caves from whence ye came. So that's the men of Kim who practice this Kemetic idol worship. Okay? Great were my people in the ancient days, great beyond conception, and little around me the wisdom of old, seeking far of iniquity. Okay, wise and the wisdom of the children of light dwell amongst, strong are the power of dawn. Okay. And all of these great men among, okay, my father taught me, okay, and all of these great among thee, the children of men, was my father taught me, the keeper of the great temple, okay, leaked between the children of light, who dwelt within the temple, and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. Okay, what 10 islands? Okay, mouthpiece, after all, the dweller of Uno, speaker of kings, okay, with the voice that must be obeyed. Okay, so he's just telling you how he grew into a manhood. But okay, let me show you where. Okay, free was I of the halls of mility, bound not by death in the circle of light. Okay, far from the stars. Let me see. Okay, let's get down to, okay, in obedience to the law, the word of the master grew in flower. Okay, downward into the darkness turned throughout the Atlanteans, until the last in the wrath arose from Aguanta, the dweller. Okay, the word has no English equivalent. It means a state of detachment, speaking the word, calling the power. Okay, deep in the earths, the sons of Amenti heard. Okay, and hearing, directing the changing of the flower, the fire that burns eternally, changing and shifting, using the logos until that great fire changed its direction. Okay, over the world then broken the great waters, drowning and sinking, changing the earth balance until only the temple of light was left, standing in the great mountain of Udal, still rising out of the water. Some there were who were living, saved from the rush of the fountains. Okay, call to me then the master, saying, gather ye together my people, take them by the arts ye have learned far across the waters. Okay, so what I'm trying to get into, until beneath you lay the children of Kim. Okay, raging. Okay, the children of Kim. Alright, so long dwelt we in the land of Kim. Alright, long and yet long again, until obeying the commands of the master, who while sleeping yet lives eternally. Okay, so he's letting you know that he has a father. Okay, I sent from the sons of Atlantis, sent them into many directions, and from the womb of time, wisdom might rise again in her children. Long time dwelt I in the land of Kim, doing great works by the wisdom within me. Upward grew into the light of knowledge, the children of Kim, watered by the rains of my wisdom. Okay, so he's letting you know that he built a lot of things in Kim. Okay, this is where all his knowledge, where all the knowledge of Thoth comes in Kim. Okay, where he built so many great things. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, great grew the sons of Kim, conquering the people around them, growing slowly upwards in soul force. Okay, now for a long time I go from among them into the darkness halls of Amenti, deep into the halls of the earth, before the lords of power, face to face again with the dweller. Raise I high over the entrance, a doorway, a gateway leading down to Amenti. Okay, so alright, so now we're going to get into the pyramids. Okay, few there would be with courage to dare it, few past the portal of dark Amenti, raised over the passage, I a mighty pyramid, raised over the passage. Okay, this is in Kim. Alright, this is in Kim. Raised over the passage, right? I grew sons of Kim, okay? This right here. So he says, raise over the passage. 1. A mighty pyramid using the power that overcomes the earth force, gravity. Okay? Using the power that overcomes earth force gravity. This is with this pyramid. Deep and yet deeper place. 1. A force house or chamber. Okay, what does the pyramids have in the inside? They have chambers. Alright, from it carved. 1. A circular passage reaching almost to the great summit. That's going down. He's saying reaching to the halls of Amenti. Somehow you can through this a bunch of So there in the apex set 1 the crystal sending the ray into the time space. Okay, drawing the force from out of the ether, concentrating upon the gateway to Amenti. So it's telling you what actually the pyramids are doing. Okay, all right, deep. Okay, what is he doing? Raise over the passage. 1. A mighty pyramid using the power that overcomes earth force gravity. That's the 440 slave vibration. Okay, deep and yet deeper place. 1. A force house or a chamber. A force house or a chamber. That's electricity. From it carved. 1. A circular passage. Okay, reaching almost to the great summit. There in the apex. Okay, set 1. The crystal. A crystal sending the ray into the time space, drawing the force from out of the ether. Drawing the force from out of the ether. The ether is where we are. He's drawing the force from out of the ether, concentrating upon the gateway to Amenti. Alright. Other chambers I built and left vacant, to all seeming yet hidden. He's talking about the other pyramids. Within them are the keys to Amenti. Who come in courage would dare the dark realms. Let him be purified first by long fasting. Okay. Lie in the sarcophagus of the stone in my chamber, then reveal I to him the great mysteries. Soon shall he follow to where I shall meet. Even in the darkness of the earth shall one meet him. I, Thoth, Lord of wisdom, meet him and hold him and dwell him always. I dwell with him always. Okay, builded I the great pyramid. So he's telling you right there who built the pyramids. So when you talk about you built the pyramids or we built the pyramids, or you understand, I understand what you're saying when you're saying yes, we're part of this dragon sense where okay, Thoth could be a relative, you understand, but okay, get it, I get it, do what you do. But the point is that we didn't build no pyramids, because the niggas who built the pyramids, Thoth said he set on fire all of them. So you can't claim to you building the pyramids, because Thoth said the niggas who built the pyramids, he set them all on fire. Okay, all right. And so as he say one time, builded I the great pyramid, patterned after the pyramid of earth force, building eternally, so that it too might remain through the ages. Okay, he's talking about a magic science. In it I build my knowledge of magic science, so that I might be here when again I return from Amenti. While I sleep in the halls of Amenti, my soul roaming free will incarnate, dwell among men in the form of another, Hermes, thrice born. Okay, so that's why the Most High says that, about the idol thing. Okay, so now let me just show you a quick video of the actual mounds.
Hey guys, today I am
so just never mind who she is, we just going to get into the actual mound. So we're actually in Mississippi, Georgia, and checking out the mounds real quick. So give me a second.
in Cartersville, Georgia at the Etowah Indian Mounds. If you look right here, this is going to be an example of the Mississippian Indian culture house. This is what the Indians of the Mississippian culture would have lived in. If you notice, they have burned the bottom parts of their roof. They did this in order to keep termites out of their homes. How smart is that? If you come in here and look inside with me, you will see what the inside really started horticulture.
I just want to fast forward it because I mean that's more of the how I want to actually get into the mounds. So she's doing the actual corn, but let's get into the mounds, okay? Not pyramids, the mounds, okay? Not 440 slave grids. We're talking about mounds, okay?
Why is it the largest? It's the largest because this is where the chief of this site would have lived. His home, which is much bigger than what we would have just saw, would have been on top of this mound. I finally made it up to the top of the chief's mound, 63 feet high. That is 6 stories high, this mound is. Now, the chief of the Mississippian Indians would be able to see over his entire village from this mound. If you look over here, he would be able to see where the lesser chief would have lived. This is a chief that would have just been below him. He can see where that chief's house would be. He would also be able to see where the burial mounds took place. Over, you can see this is a smaller mound over there. Now, we saw those houses earlier that just the regular Indians would have lived in. They would have been out here, and the chief would have been able to see all of his entire village from the top of his mound. I'm on the Etowah River. This river surrounds the village that we just saw. I can actually still see where the chief's mound is from here. The Mississippian Indians would come to this river in order to catch fish. One way they caught those fish is created this V-shaped trap in the river. They did this by creating the V through rocks. At the end of this trap, they would have baskets and things like that. So the goal of this trap is that the fish, when swimming downstream, would kind of fall into this V shape. And kind of towards the end, you'd have a basket or net, or whatever they use, in order for the fish to go into that trap. They say they caught around 1,000 fish a day. Remember, they had to catch a lot of fish in order to feed an entire village of people.
Oh yeah, and that gets me to another thing. When we talk about America is Egypt, okay? When we talk about the Nile, okay, is the Mississippi. Okay, when you talk about the Nile and you talk about the story of Moses, you have to understand about why God planted it in so many. Okay, remember when we were reading about the natives in Mississippi, which is you and me, okay, the Mississippi Indians, okay, we were talking about the Mississippi. We called it Mesh, the Mississippi, okay? But let's go. Okay, listen. Okay, now we know this is down in the Delta, right? So, all right, let's go to the etymology of, let's say, etymology of Nile, right? So Nile. All right, 1 second. Okay, we're talking about this Nile. Okay, one of the world's oldest surviving place names, okay, from the Shemitic root, Nahal River, okay? Unnamed in the Old Testament, it is always merely the river, Hebrew, okay? So now that we know it's Hebrew, Yeor, the Nile, okay? But let's go down to Delta, as we can see, Delta, Armana. Okay, so let's go down to Delta, Tent Door, Triangle Island, or track between the diverging branches of the mount of the Great River. Great River is remember, Mississippi, the Mississippi means Great River. is because Herodotus used it of the delta-shaped mount of the Nile. Okay, using delta and Herodotus, right? Remember they say Herodotus was in Egypt, but why is he dealing with the delta, with the great river? Herodotus and the great river? Come on, man. Herodotus is what? Herodotus is the one who what? Broke up Jerusalem. The great river, Jerusalem. All right, man, that's one thing, man. Listen, you got to understand that all the information that you've been given from the time you enter preschool, the time you enter preschool, look, America, man, it's game. All right, it's game because they want to colonize you. That's what it got to do. They want to colonize you. The Nile is the delta. All right, is the delta. All right. So I want to go over to let's take it way back, 1575. We want to give an account. Who was over here in 1575? We got to go back to William Bradford. This is the dude who became governor in 1590. Yes, over here. We ain't talking about Africa. We talking about over here over in the Americas in the 1590s. Okay. Now these you got to go back because we're now, and you got to understand that books has been closed up. Books has been sealed. We talking about the Biblioteca of Colombina in Seville, Spain. Do we know anything about that? Do we know what is that? That's a library of Incabella books, man. Over 15,000 maybe volumes by now. 150,000 volumes by now, man, of the late great explorers, man. How many times do we got to tell you we read these hunky-dory ass books, you know what I'm saying, that we've been given to them. And you looking up this Google and you not understanding, man, that you got to go over to Spain and get the real deal. Okay, so go over and check that out. Look that out. The Biblioteca Capitular and the Biblioteca Colombina in Seville, Spain. In Seville, Spain. All right, and over there you will find, and I'm not going to pull it up because you can look it up yourself because you got to check out we laid down a bunch of videos that the America latest and greatest discovery of America, all right, of the New World. And on page 39, it breaks it down where this foreigner is already telling you that he really don't know how we came over here, how we got here, all right? But all he knows is that, okay, it seems to be two passages over here. One is through the Greenlands of Europe, and the other, which is which is Asia, same thing. And the other is through, what was the other? One was through Asia and one was through Europe, maybe. Y'all go check it out. It's on page 39. Okay, but then the whole presumption was pretense because the actually had to admit they have no idea, man. They have no idea. We was already over here chilling. We was already over here living humbly. Okay, so that's one thing. So we want to get into this 1557, the account of the contentions. All right, now that goes back deep because that goes back to this crazy queen. All right, this crazy Queen Mary. All right, and that leads in a lot of theories of this Mary and her trying to this Queen Mary actually of England and her using this son. Okay. Sacrificing the son. That's what you guys have to realize. That was the epitome times of our religious point, because the world was trying to get us, and we're going to get into that. The world was trying to go against us and our God, and also the world was also trying to get us to go against our God. Okay, so we'll get into that real deep, man. Let's keep playing that drum though. We're gonna keep playing the drum. We just gonna keep it moving. Okay, so let's get into this contention, but first we want to get into who this William Bradford is. Okay, this William Bradford, and it's also leading us back to a trail too. The William Bradford for 1590, and also the William Bradford, Major William Bradford in the 1800s. Okay, them being related, them fighting wars and wars imposing on the indigenous people, which is you, Naga, alright? Which is you, Naga, even when these people from the Tartary even came over, alright? Even when these mixed from people from the Tartary, these Indians from the, what is that, Trail of something, alright? And it all breaks down, because then you got to actually talk about this Trail of Tears when we were sent out to Oklahoma. Okay, so remember the Indians that were sent out to the Trail of Tears of Oklahoma, right? How are we, if we were had to be slaves, then how were we sent to the Trail of Tears? You got to understand that, and how actually, okay, it goes all together from our land being took and us shipped out to the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma. How the hell did we get to Oklahoma if you weren't the indigenous Indians of that land, of the South? All right. So it's game. It's game. It's really game. You know what I'm saying? You first being in the West, and the Utahs and the Californias, and then a lot of you being shipped out to the South. But then there was a lot of Indians already in the South and in the Massachusetts area. That's where this Plymouth started. This Mayflower going over to the Rhode Islands and the Massachusetts near the New York areas, okay, and ending all the way through the Americas. So man, we going through it real quick. Let's just break it down. All right, so we just giving you a background of this guy, real. Okay, he was believed. Okay, William Bradford was believed to have been born in Austerfield, Yorkshire, England in March 1590, with records indicating his baptism being held around this time. His parents, alright, so this dude just, okay, alright. He and other congregants eventually fled the Netherlands to escape persecution through their adopted land. They still face attacks due to the country's affiliation with England's King James, okay. Bradford style. Okay, so look, this William Bradford was a separatist religious leader who sailed on the Mayflower and eventually became governor of the Plymouth settlement. The Plymouth settlement, okay, we'll check out that. Alright, this William Bradford, we'll check out this Plymouth settlement in 1 second. Okay, now we're getting into it because it's coming from, alright, the book that was wrote on the Plymouth Plantation. This is the actual account of contentions that he was writing. Alright. Okay. Okay, it seems. Alright. So hold up 1 second. So this is chapter 1. Okay, good. Okay, so this is chapter 1 of this book. Okay, and chapter 1 is suppression of religious liberty in England, first cause of the foundation of the New Plymouth settlement. Okay, but first of all, we got to give you guys a visual real quick. Okay, this is of the Plymouth Plantation, William Bradford. Okay, and check out these guys. Okay. Of Plymouth Plantation, William Bradford. What we really want to see of the Plymouth first published Bradford history, and okay, this in 1608 to 1650. Okay, rendered, but this is first published. Okay, the Plymouth settlement. This is the history 1608 to 1650. Okay, but him coming over here in 1575 when the book was written. Okay. Book 1, 1608, 1620, this is the persecution and flight from England, settlement in Holland, at Amsterdam, and Leyden crossing to England and voyage to America. Alright, landing at Cape Cod in the New Plymouth. Okay, just so you know where we're talking about. Now let's get over into this chapter 1, the actual suppression of religion, liberty in England, first cause of the foundation of the New England, because we're just going to get down to where we're going to the Americas and what they were doing. Okay, and what we're trying to get to is a description of the people for sure, but we already know the description of the people. If you don't know that by now, then I don't know where you've been, but it's cool, because just go back, catch up, and then just come on up. Alright, but listen. First, I will unfold the cause that led to the foundation of the New Plymouth settlement and the motives of those concerned in it. Okay, in order, In order that I may give an accurate account of the project, I must begin at the very root and rise of it. At this I shall endeavor to do in plain style, with the singular regard to the truth, at least as near to my slender judgment can attain to it. Okay, as is well known. Okay, we know the Plymouth was over here in America. Okay, over in the, what is that? The Long Island. Okay, the Long Island area is near Massachusetts. Okay, as is well known ever since the breaking out of the light of the gospel in England. Okay, which was the first country to be thus enlightened after the gross darkness of the popery had overspread the Christian world. Okay, so he's already establishing that. Now you got to remember the Arborough. You got to remember the Declaration of Arborough, where we ran. There were priests that ran from here over to England and Scotland and formed the 113 kingdoms. Okay, now and you have to understand that there was with the English a solemn covenant that was formed with the English. The English were predominantly white men. Okay, so when you talk about the British, when you talk about the Nords, when you talk about the British, all these other what do you call them? Labels of people were dark people until the English. Now the English being predominantly white, and you got many people to testify against that. Okay, many people to question, and W.D. Du Bois will also testify against that. Okay, so but the point is that the point is that this William Bradford contagiously getting his name from somebody of a Saxon, okay, which was black. Okay, Saxon meaning Isaac's son, somebody who was black. Getting his name from a black man, giving him the British name or the Saxon name. You get it? Or the Norse name, Norse meaning dark, like Swats meaning dark. These were dark people. Okay, so the English, these white, so-called white people, Canaanites are these white people were slaves. Okay, so they built up their slaves in England. So that's how, and these ex-slaves were now being paid and to be armies and generals, okay, and majors, and so you get it. So now, so they're coming over to the Americas and trying to discover some things where the people, but really, it was a hijack. All right, these people were being paid to hijack, and these people like Christopher Columbus and Cortez became very, very rich. Okay, so let's get into it, man. So as well known ever since the breaking out of the light of the gospel in the England, which was the first country to be thus enlightened after the gross darkness of the popery. So you had these demonic, this wickedness out of darkness, this popery, okay, of this papacy. Okay, and we'll get into that because that's when these royal charters and these papal letters and shit like that start to spread, okay, into this Christian world. Satan has maintained various wars against the saints. From time to time in different ways, sometimes a bloody death and cruelty, torment, at other times by imprisonment, banishment, and other wrongs, as if a loaf that is the kingdom. Okay, so now these English, now you hear the English talking from a high conscious perspective because they formed a solid covenant with the British. Now the British were the indigenous people of, man, Australia's, Europe, the 13 colonies, and also of the Americas, because they ran over to America after they were chased out and ran into the British. Look it up. I give you all that drop. Hit you over the head with it. All right. So therefore, let's finish where we left off. So that's why these English seem so uppity, because they've been dealing with us. Okay, the British who actually had who formed this covenant with the English. Okay, so from the time to time in different ways, sometimes my bloody death of cruel torment, only times of imprisonment. Okay, after the loaf of his kingdom should he overcome, the truth prevail, and the church of God revert to their ancient purity and recover their primitive order, liberty, and beauty. But when he could not stifle by the means of the main truths of the gospel, which began to take rooting in many places, watered by the blood of martyrs, and blessed from heaven with the gracious increase, he reverted to his ancient stratagems used of old against the first Christians. Okay. For when in those days the bloody and barbarous persecutions of the heathen empires could not stop and subvert the course of the gospel, which speedily overspread then best known parts of the world, he began to sow errors, heresies, and discord amongst the clergy themselves, working upon the pride and ambition of the frailties, of other frailties to which all mortals and even the saints themselves in some measure are subject. Woeful effects followed, not only were the bitter contentions, hurt burnings, and schisms, but Satan took advantage of them to foist in a number of vile ceremonies with many vain canons and decrees, which have been snares to many poor and peaceable souls to this day. All right, so he's telling you that basically a lot of our invaders joined forces with Satan. Okay, so in the early days, Christians suffered as much as internal dissension as from persecution by the heathen and their emperors. Okay, true and orthodox Christians being oppressed by the Arians and their heretical accomplices. Okay, Socrates bears witness to this in his second book. Now I remember when Socrates, they got to write these books after the 400 years after we were going through a lot of turmoil. All right, when they say that God wasn't speaking. Okay, the 400, remember the 400 years of silence. Okay, indeed the violence was no less than the practice of old towards the Christians when they were compelled to sacrifice to idols. For many, you hear that? Christians, when they were, now they're just using the word Christians, okay? All right, we're not gonna get into that, but they're just using the word Christians for when they compelled to sacrifice for idols. Okay, for many endure various kinds of torment, often racking and dismemberment of their joints. Okay, confiscating of their goods and banishment from their native soil. Okay, so that's how we know what we're talking about when it comes to these guys. Okay, and now what they're talking about is us being good, proper Christians, because remember they called us Christ in that form. What they learned when they joined into the solemn covenants, what they learned about, because remember they were the outsider. This Englander, they were the outsider, so they're learning from this gospel perspective. Okay, so during the various kinds of torment after racking and dismemberment of their joints, confiscating of their goods, and banishment from their native soil. Okay, so you got to understand, Satan has seemed to follow a like method in these later times ever since the truth began to spring and spread after the great defection of that man of sin, the Papal Antichrist. Okay, the Papal Antichrist. All right, so this is in 1557, where he's actually telling you these Englishers are coming down, and they're coming down to fight the Spanish and these other guys. The Spanish, the Spanish. They're coming to fight the Spanish. They're coming to fight France. Okay, the French, who's actually has put upon this Papal Antichrist, this paper Antichrist. All right. So again, as you can see, as it says, indeed the violence were no less than that practice of old towards the Christians when they were compelled to sacrifice to idols. Okay, so he's giving you a difference between Christians and between idols. Okay, so this is a foreigner calling you a Christian. You get what I'm saying? Because he's called all of you Christ. You get what I'm saying? He called all of you Christ because you look like that of Christ. You get that of the Father. You get what I'm saying? Sacrifice to idols. Okay, you were compelled to sacrifice for idols for many. For many endured various kinds of torment, often racking and dismemberment of their joints, confiscating of their goods, and banishment of their native soil. Okay, so what does that sound like? When they came over here and took your antiquities. All right, so what are we talking about? Did they say they were in Africa? No, they said they were here. They said they were in the Americas. Okay, Satan has seemed to follow a like method in these later times, ever since the truth began to spring and spread after the great defection of that man of sin, the Papal Antichrist, passing by the infinite examples through the world as well as in our country, when that old serpent found that he could not prevail by fiery flames and the other cruel torments which he had put in use everywhere in the days of Queen Mary and before. Alright, Queen Mary and before. He then went more closely to work, not merely to oppress, but to ruin and destroy the kingdom of Christ by more secret and subtle means, and by kindling flames of contention and sowing seeds of strife and bitter enmity amongst the reformed clergy and the laity themselves. Alright, so you understand that everything, according to this so-called Satan, he has hijacked. Okay? He has hijacked your land. He has hijacked your clergy. He has hijacked your clergy. Alright? So that's who you see right now. Alright? He has hijacked your land. He has hijacked everything. Okay? He has hijacked you. He has hijacked the people, God's people. What did Hitler say? Hitler said, when the Negro discovers what this people have done, have stolen. They have stolen Hawa's, the Creator's jewelry. Alright, Negro, you are the jewelry of the Creator. You are the Ame'rican Indian. Okay? Alright, if you go over, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. You are the Ame'rican. Alright? Alright, so, and then we'll also get into, let me see. Right here. Now, what is the name of this? Okay, sponsor. We'll also get into this being what is this? And it's just not. But what this is, actually, what's the name of this book? The Original Races of North America, comprising biographical sketches. Okay, we want to get into that now. We haven't bought this book, so they're not, they're gonna reveal some things, and we're gonna catch them when they reveal it. Alright, computer's working a little slow, but we're gonna get into it. This book right here, The Aboriginal Races of North America, biographical sketches of the eminent individuals, a historical account of the different tribes, the first discovery of the continent, the first discovery of the continent to the present period, with the discussion of their origin, antiquities, manners, and customs. Alright? Now, this is already the 15th edition, revised with valuable additions, so it's already letting you know you're going to have to dodge your hijack. Illustrated with numerous colored steel plate engravings. They waste us, like the April snow. In the warm noon we shrink away, and fast they follow as we go toward the setting day, till they shall fill the land, and we are driven into the western sea. Alright? Philadelphia. So we're going to get into that. Okay, the preface of it. The history of the Aboriginal races of the American continent is an interesting study, not only to the people of this union, but also to those of other lands who regard them as congeners of a nomadic hordes, which in times long past swarmed over the plains of now civilized Europe. Okay, in many respects, there is a very close resemblance between the characters and final fate of all the primitive tribes and nations of the world, their mode of governments, habits, customs, and being somewhat similar, and their recession before the onward march of the civilization, as well as their absorption of the disappearance. You hear how they say the disappearance following an inexorable natural law which decrees in submission of the animal to the intellectual development. Okay, he's talking about the law of Ahchwa. From the study of past events alone can an opinion be formed of the causes which gave origin to them, and for the reason should every American citizen who desires to understand the true history of his country pursue with attention the records of the former owners of that soil, which ere long would no more give subsistence to any of their descendants. Wow. Who desires to understand the true history of his country, pursue with attention the records of the former owners of that soil, which ere long will no more give subsistence to any of their descendants. Which ere long will no more give sustenance to any of their descendants. No ordinary task is it for the faithful chronicler to trace the history of a people who have no written annals, okay, no written language. Those only records are of the pictographic character, and those whose traditions are so vague and unconnected as to be very unreliable. Such are the difficulties he has to encounter anterior to the discovery of America by Columbus, right? And even subsequent to that period, owing to the unsettled condition of the country until within the last half century. Years of the research and comparison are rendered necessary in order to reconcile conflicting statements and unravel and tangle web of confused narratives, believing, however, that the end to be attained, that of giving to the world a reliable history of Indians in North America. Alright, so what he's saying, it's only in the last century, and I told y'all, only in the 1800s. You know what I'm saying? The late 1800s is where they just did the photo and the scientific. Alright, so the history of the Indians in North America continent was one which justified the author in making any sacrifice of time and labor in its accomplishments. He for many years toiled unremittingly to accomplish this purpose, sparingly neither trouble nor expense in the collection of facts in their sectional arrangements. Where he has succeeded in ordinance with his hopes, he does not pretend to say, leaving to the judgment of the intelligent reader the decision of the question. After a thorough and attentive perusal of the work, the Indian has been traced through all his misfortunes, wandering and forced transmigrations, okay, to his present home on the western shores of the Mississippi, okay, where there is every prospect of his speedy absorption in the Anglo-Saxon current, which is so steady flowing toward the setting sun. And the last remnant of the race will soon in spirit, if not in words, echo the language of the poetic writer, who thus portrays the sole survivor as apostrophizing the deity. Okay, Where is my home, my forest home, the proud land of my sires? Where stands the wigwam of my pride? Where gleam the council fires? Where my father's hollow grave, my friends so light and free, gone, gone forever, from my view, great spirit can it be? Alright, so it's just giving you a little descriptive of it's just telling you that there was a medley of Indians from different the east, the south, the northern, the west Indians were all different. Okay? Different in manner and different things. Okay, the origin of the name Indian, why apply to the people found in America, the ancient author. Oh, so let's get into chapter 1 real quick. And I also want to, okay, these guys right here broke down, they had prophets, death of the 3 prophets, grounds of the Seminoles, circumstance of those Indians misunderstood. Okay, man, we had so many Indians, tribes on the Mississippi River, man, it's ridiculous. We're going to get into that, man. We're going to get into it. Y'all don't go crazy over it. Okay, check this out. This is the alphabetical enumeration of Indian tribes and nations, alright? Now, even in this book, listen, we know about the colonization. The colonization is big. Every nigga from Africa, right? That's the whole colonization, because this soil is the oldest soil and is the most fertile soil. So look, we understand that. But even in this book, it says that, most people are going to think. That's why you got to break this book down, because it's letting you know that, man. And it's giving you some hijack too, alright? It's telling you about some white Indians that was here too, so. Alright, so an attempt is made by the following table to locate various bands of Aboriginals. Okay, so we know the word Aboriginal has been hijacked too. Now, you might say that Aboriginal, when you put the A and B blood type Indians, or however you say it, or the Ab, but as long as you got the word original, you'll never need the word Aboriginal. You understand what I'm saying? Aboriginal. Yeah, they can say, yeah, it breaks down the A and B blood type, but what does the word ab means? Okay, the word ab means what? Abnormal. Okay, so what does normal mean? So when you put abnormal, what does that mean? So you got to understand that. What does normal mean? What does abnormal mean? What does original mean? Origine mean? What does aborigine mean? So when you use words like aboriginal, when you use words like native, those words are new words. So you got to understand, new words coincide with new people. Okay? New words coincide with new people. Okay? If you're old, if you're from the old people, then use the old words like original. Autochton, Anasazi, Pueblo. We'll get into all that. Alright? We'll get into all that. Okay, so let's see. To locate the various bands of Aboriginal, original, ancient, and modern, and to convey the best information respecting their numbers of multifarious sources will warrant. Modern writers have been for several years endeavoring to divide North America into certain districts. Okay? Do you hear that? I didn't hear it. Modern writers have been for 7 years endeavoring to divide North America into certain districts, each of which should include all of the Indians speaking the same or dialects of the same language. But whoever has paid any attention to the subject must undoubtedly have been convinced that it can never be done, okay, with any degree of accuracy, okay, because it's telling you how many languages we spoke. This is the continent where we spoke the most languages, okay, approximately of great accuracy. This has been undertaken in reference to an approximation of other great question of the origin of this people from a comparison of various languages used among them. All right, an unwritten language is easily varied, and there can be no barrier to innovation. A continual intermixing Okay, a continual intermixing of tribes has gone on from the period of their origin to the present time. Okay, judging from what we have daily seen, and when any two tribes unite speaking different language or dialects of the same, a new dialect is produced by such amalgamation. Okay, so he letting us know that when two tribes mix, out comes another language. Okay, hence the accumulation of the vocabularies would be like the pursuit of an infinite series of mathematics. With this, so how you understand when we talk about the languages, now you talk about that, now you talk about a DNA testing. When you even talk about the language is an infinite series in mathematics, what do you think the DNA is? Okay? With this difference, however, in the one we recede from the object and pursue, while in the other we approach it. But I will not be understood to speak, okay, despairingly of this attempt at classification. For if it be unimportant in the main design, it will be of considerable service to the student in the Indian history of other accounts. Thus, the Uchis are said to speak a primitive language, okay, and they were district in a small territory south of the Cherokees, but some 200 years ago. If they then existed as a tribe and their tradition be true, they were bound on the north by one of the Great Lakes, and they are said to be descended from the Shawnees by some of themselves. We know an important community of them is still in existence in Florida. Okay? Have they created a new language in some course of their wanderings, or have those from whom they separated done so? Such are the difficulties we meet with every step of the classification. But a desertion upon these matters cannot now be attempted. Okay, and this is already they're talking about. Okay, when was this? Let me check it out real quick. Okay, let me check it out real quick. At what time was this? I don't remember the time that they're speaking of. Is it the 1600s or? I'm not, well, I don't see the time, but at this time, they've already said that all of these tribes have already mixed. Okay. Okay. So now, he's going to give us the Indian tribes and the nations, right? And look at this, man. And I want y'all to check out this list, okay? And he's also giving us the date. Now, this is around the 1700s. Okay. When all these tribes, man, mixture of tribes. So that's how you know that these people don't know what they're talking about, okay? And we're talking about over here. This is the Colorado. This is the Yellowstone. This is the Canada. This is the Muskogees, okay? Under the French at the Tombecbee in 1750, okay? I can't even pronounce these tribes in alphabetical order. The Ebeki, the Abacas, okay? The Abacas, man, the Alkawasas, the Okamas, Adibandaks. These are the Algonquians, the Natchez. Man, it's so many. 6 tribes in Virginia when settled in the English in 1607. Man, it's so many tribes. Check this out. Look at these lists of tribes, man. Okay, we not getting the river flow. We not getting the river flow. Why is that? Okay, Mississippi. On the map, because you can believe it doesn't stop right there in Minnesota. It goes all the way up through Canada. Okay, that's one thing that you have to understand. Alright, so this Nile, do you understand what grows in this Nile? What grows in this Nile? Everything from food to people. This water, this body of water right here, is what the Most High used to put everything on this body of land. Okay, even its people. So man, y'all wake up, man. Y'all wake up. Alright? And from now on, we got to stay woke. So I'll be back. This is just part one. This that indigenous drop. This that indigenous ruach. So we praise the Most High. And we thank him. We thank the ruach for being able to spit this, to drop this on your head, man. So thank y'all for listening. Shalom to the tribe. Y'all know that. Shalom to the tribe. Alright. Oh man, this is Dr. Delbert Blair. Alright, so he's meeting with these two looking like thyself Hebrew brothers, and where they're actually more than he would expected. They would actually be more of what he expected, and we'll break that down. We'll break that down in 1 second. Check it out.
The hall, and I'll tell you what, I'll wrap this up, but I want to share this because it does give a little background as to why I am doing what I do now. When I went onto the hall, there was a black woman who was the elevator operator for this particular service, and when she came up and leveled off the elevator and the last of the crowd got in, we got in behind them, and this little guy, the shorter fellow, came up to her again, and he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, and so forth again." And I said, "Well, this is strange." And she kind of was just shrugging him off. It's okay again. So we got down. We were on the, I think it was the 6th floor. So we got downstairs, and we all got off the elevator. And I said, "Can you guys wait a minute?" I said, "I want to talk to the lady on the elevator," because by now I was feeling kind of out of place, out of sorts. I came up to her, and I said, "If you got time," I said, "I just met these guys." And they said, "They're kind of out the box, kind of weird." And I noticed that the little guy was really, saying something to you. what happened? Can you give me a little background? She says, well, says when they came up late. And that the hotel doesn't have a lot of black guests. And the UFO conference is usually not visited by black people. At that time, we didn't use the word black that much. I think she said by colored people. And so I didn't think that they were going to the UFO thing. I assumed that they were going to a meeting that a few black people or colored people were meeting up on the next floor. So I went past the UFO thing. And the tall guy said, please, I want to get off here. So I stopped the elevator, brought it back down, and at this time one of the white men on the elevator said again something about niggers, you know, sticking together, so on again like that. And he was angry because I had brought the elevator down to let these two black guys off, and it, I guess, you know, whatever again. So I just took it, this is a woman talking now, she said, I just took it with a grain of salt, per se. He said, but the little guy just seemed to just go off. When he said niggers, he looked, he jumped at the guy, almost leaping across the floor. Then he stopped. He said he was shaking. He turned and looked at the big guy, and the big guy just kind of put his hand on his shoulder, and the guy just stood there. And he was looking all around. He says, I'm so sorry. Something. He said the big guy just escorted him on out, and they left. So I said, well, you mean they'd never heard the word nigger before? So he said, well, not the way he acted. He didn't seem to even understand it or comprehend it. So I said, well, okay, these guys really are weird. I said, but maybe they come from some part of Africa, and they're not used to this kind of thing. So, in the presence of these men, I had time predicted 15 minutes before an incident happened. I asked him, what was a Negro? He said, there is no such thing as a Negro.
Now check this out. He said, he asked him, what is a Negro? And he said, there is no such thing. Check this out.
That the word is Necro, N-E-C-R-O. And if they close the G to confuse the situation, it is the dead, the unknowing, the lost in mind and consciousness. And they live in necrophiles. They are dead. I said, okay. He said, I'll give you an example of what a Negro is in about 20 minutes.
So, a Negro. He said they add the G, but we know what a Naga is, right? A Naga is a king, right? The Naga people are king people. Priest kingly people. So let's look at this Negro, right? Take down a G and put a C. Negro, the Greek prefix meaning death, right? So somebody changed it, right, to a Negro, meaning a lazy person or a Negro, but the Greek word is necro. Necro, the Greek prefix meaning. What I'm saying is, Naga or Negro is not a bad word. Moreno, Spanish. Kemet, black. Sudan, black. Dark faces. Ethiopia means dark faces. Negro just means Spanish for dark. But necro, the Greek prefix meaning death. Necromancy, we'll get into that next, is a type of magic. Necrophilia, the sexual attraction to a corpse. What? Necrophilia is the sexual attraction to a corpse. Necropolis, a large ancient cemetery. And Necro, Street Fighter, a character on Street Fighter. I've never played Street Fighter, so I don't know about that. But let's get into this death, though. Where's that picture again? Don't stall me now. Alright, well, now who is this guy? Statue of Death, personified as a human skeleton. Alright, so we see when, you know, you got all these groups that rock the skull and bones, or these groups that rock a skull. It means death. Statue of death, personified as a human skeleton dressed in a shroud, and clutching a synth. We'll get into that. As you can see, it's like the opposite of a staff. From the Cathedral of Trier in the Trier, Germany. Wow, in the Trier, Germany, in Trier, Germany. Wow. A scythe is an agricultural hand tool for mowing grass and reaping crops. It has largely been replaced by horse-drawn and then tractor machinery, but is still used in some European areas of European and Asia. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that was used for killing. Alright, they ain't telling you that. It was used for the killing of a lot of your people. So this is a statue of death. It is a skeleton. So every time you see someone who represents a skeleton, or a skull, or a skeleton, it represents death. Death, okay, is a cessation of all biological functions. Okay? Cessation, you already know, means stopping. It's a complete breakdown. That sustain a living organism. That sustain a living organism. Phenomena which commonly bring about death. Phenomena include aging, predation, malnutrition, dis-ease, suicide, homicide, starvation, dehydration, and accidents. I mean, a lot of us can think of a lot of things that. So in order to put death on a people, you can mess with their biological functions that sustain their living organism. Or another phenomenon that brings about death is aging. That has to do with time. Time brings about death. Predation, a malnutrition of a people, disease of a people, the suicide rate, why? The homicide rate, why? The starvation of their righteous foods, a dehydration of water, and causing innumerable accidents or traumas resulting in terminal injury. In most cases, bodies of living organisms begin to decompose shortly after death. Decompose shortly after death. Death, particularly the death of humans, has commonly been considered a sad or unpleasant occasion due to the effect for the being that has died and the termination of social and family bonds with the deceased. Other concerns include fear of death, necrophobia, anxiety, sorrow, grief, emotional pain, depression, sympathy. Necrophobia, which is a irrational fear of dead things as well as associated with death. With all types of emotions, obsession with death becomes evident in both fascinations and objectifications. In a cultural sense, necrophobia may also be used to mean a fear of dead. Okay? Y'all checking into that Jay-Z, man. He's introducing this lady. I can't remember her name, but her name is like Ambrose or something like that, where she's they calling her an artist, where she's basically obsessed with this death, especially the death and the raping of children. And man, y'all look into that, where it has something to do with the Pizzagate. Y'all check into that, man. Jay-Z and this Pizzagate scandal and this the Clintons and these emails, and y'all should check into that, man. So many cultures and religions have the idea of an afterlife, and also hold the idea of a reward or judgment and punishment for your past sins. The word for death comes from Old English dip, which in turn comes from Proto-Germanic depos, dapus. Reconstructed by etymology analysts, this comes from the Proto-Indo-European stem dehu, meaning the process, act, condition of dying. The concept of symptoms of death, of varying degrees of delicacy used in discussion in public forums, have generated numerous scientific, legal, and socially acceptable terms, or infused with death. A person has died. It is also said that they have passed away, passed on, expired, or are gone, among numerous other social accepted religious slang and irreverent terms. Buried of life, the dead person is a corpse. Covered, or a body set of remains. The soul has left. When all the flesh is rotting away and the skeleton. Alright. So he's just breaking down the difference in this I don't even know. We went so far. But we went from the watch to this death of this statue, right? So let's see how that correlates.
I said, yeah. Right. I said, at this time, I think I want to get out of the lobby because, by the way, the man spoke very loud. He was not talking condescending. He talked. His voice boomed out. So I said, I think I'll go outside with these guys on the street. Still didn't feel too comfortable with this situation. So we're standing now outside at the front of the hotel, these three black men, these two and myself. He also, at that time, well, I'll have to explain to you how this really hit me. I was forming a question to ask him, and I felt the question was trite, that it might make me feel like I wasn't a big mental giant, and I was kind of wrestling with whether to ask him or not. And then he went ahead and he answered it, and I'm wrestling with this other answer, and I said, wait a minute. I said, I didn't ask you, I didn't say that to you. I said, I was thinking that. I said, I didn't say. And then finally my little braggadocious self kind of began to get itself in hand. I remember I stepped back away from him. And I said, who are you? He said, that's not important. I told you that I came a long way to answer your questions. He also, as he was talking, and the little guy was with him, constantly kept hungry. He kept saying, when are we going to eat? When are we going to eat? Okay, that was all he seemed to know outside of, don't call this woman nigger. Okay, those two things seemed to keep him pretty upset. So, at this time, when I'm going through this, I hear, ho, ho, ha, ha, yeah, baby, yeah, man. So, well, here come the Negroes. And around the corner, downtown Chicago, loudest thing on the street, probably with, I would say, with the least money in the pocket, with the loudest mouth on the street, came the Negroes. Ho, ho, ha, ha, and the whole... I said, how in the world did you know these guys were going to come around the corner 20 minutes ago? I said, that's not important. Those are your Negroes. Dead, lost, unknowing. I say, okay. This time, he kind of looks at the time. Oh, I asked him, do you have the time? And he kind of looked at the time. When he did this, I jumped again. I said, what in the world is that? Like I pull up, I got a watch on my arm. I don't know what he had on his arm. He said it's a chronometer. I said, oh, thank you. I said, can you tell me what time your chronometer is keeping right now, boss? You know. Anyway, obviously something was different here. And with the mind reading, with the foretelling the future, with the time loss, I found I fell into a classic UFO extraterrestrial meeting that many people experience just about those same things. Only I had the privilege of restoring it at the time, doing it again without having to get on board some kind of spacecraft, but enough proof was given me that these weren't the learned professors that I had been taught by previously. They had a little bit more going for them. I asked him, why me? And the only question and the only time I got some kind of a reaction that was not controlled, this big guy was pretty controlled, from this tall fella, was when he kept asking me, do you know, did I know who I was? I said, yeah, I'm Del Blair. And if he asked me that 4 times, I asked him 5 times. Del Blair, I done told you that. Okay? That seemed to disgust him no end. And it kind of bothered me because I thought I knew my name. At any rate, that seemed to bother him, and as we began to break up this conversation, which lasted then, I guess, a total of almost an hour and a half after the lecture, I said, well, quite obviously, you're not going to invite me over to look at some of the magazines with you, are you? He said, you know I'm not. I said, he's not either, is he? He said, no. I said, do you think I'll see you guys again? He said, you may see him, but I doubt it. You will not see me again. I said, fine. I said, where did you say your address was? He smiled, and that was about it. I said, well, one other thing. I said, I have a big decision to make. And I said, I am wanting to find out if there are such things as UFOs. I said, did you think of anybody I might ask? He said, when do you want to see one? I said, now. He said, no good. I said, well, how would I go about seeing one? He says, watch the skies for the next week. I said, I'm always going around with my head up, but it's becoming to be dangerous nowadays. I'll have to get a buddy. I have a sense of humor. You have to, in the worst situations, I find humor, and a lot of people can't deal with that, but it's the way I get by it. So they went down the street. My first impulse was to try and follow him. A big, loud voice in my head said, play it off, brother. Go. You're not supposed to be there. You got your little audience. Go on and deal with yourself. So for the next 3 days, this happened on a Saturday night. It was a Friday night, Saturday when I came back. So that Sunday in the morning, I'm looking up, and of course, I got a crook in my neck, and that's about it. About the 3rd day, or that Tuesday night, I had an urge to go to a movie, and I came back kind of late, as usual. And I'm walking down the street. Now, this is not some rural outback area on a highway. This is in downtown Chicago. I live in an area called Hyde Park, and it's quite a heavily traversed place. So I'm looking up, and it looks like I see 2 stars move. Well, I have been looking for stars to move for some time, or something to move up there that I can identify other than to hear everybody else talking about contact. So I looked and said, yeah, it didn't move. My eyes playing trick. I got to get my lenses changed. So consequently, I walked on down the street a little bit more. And then they darted, and then I did see something that caught my eye, and so I watched. And 3 of these stars came down in a linear thing like this, and then kind of, not too fast, but not too slow either. They're moving maybe about 30 miles an hour. And they kept up perfect formation. If you've seen the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, how many have seen that movie? Well, that's just the way that Spielberg represented it, like they kind of moved when they came to Devil's Mountain and this kind of thing. That's exactly how these 3 stars dropped down and came across.
I mean, I know y'all trying to figure out where we're going with this, but the whole thing is from looking up the word necro, Necro, right, to understanding that the meaning of that word means dead. And now to this UFO meeting that he was somehow sideswiped by these 2 gentlemen, right? These 2 gentlemen looking just like him, of melanated skin. explaining to him the difference of a Negro and the difference of who they were. And who they were, as he was telling him, were the same of what he was. The melanated people on this planet, right? It's not a Negro, but it's a Negro, a Naga, right? An Ame'rican, right? From the Atlantis, but that's the Babylonian name, what we call Lemuria. Before the flood. Okay, and so that's what the gentleman, the brothers are explaining to him. And he's understanding that these brothers are from a different realm. They've traveled through time. Okay? Like your prophet Moshe. Okay? Or like these warriors who you mention in biblical times. But in the essence of a form that it evolves into something like you, or something like me, or someone like Elijah, who overstand his ancestors and his reason over his passion. So that's what we digging into, man. We getting into who you are. You understand? Are you dead or are you alive? Are you living or are you dying? How do you regenerate your power? Is it off of dead or is it off of living? We'll get into Daniel's diet. How is he able? How is a diet so important that he's able to contact no third parties, his creator? See, that's what you understand. When you become a priest king, when you are studying to be a priest king, you have to understand that all these elements, you have to wake up the strands of your DNA. Okay, and then that's when we get into something that you call the Kabbalah, right? The Kabbalah. That's when we get into something that's called the Kabbalah. I know we're getting into this slow. I don't know how to spell Kabbalah, but when you get into Kabbalah, the definition, right? The ancient Jewish tradition of a mystical interpretation of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? The mystical is just something they're just being secret, okay? A deeper. That they're just, when they call it mystical, they're just being devious, trying to be secret, mystical, but it's just a different interpretation, a deeper interpretation. First transmitted orally and using esoteric methods. Esoteric means just a deeper like science, metaphysics, including ciphers. It reached the height of its influence in later Middle. Okay, but they ain't giving the definition. They're not giving you, okay, Kabbalah, right? To receive the tree of life. To receive the tree of life. Kabbalah, the tree of life. Meaning. What is the meaning? Right? Oh, yeah, it's watered down. It's watered down, but when you get into the Hebrew meaning of Kabbalah, or Kabbalah, it means to receive. To receive what? To receive what? We know it means to receive. What do you want to receive? To receive that, the esoteric meaning of your creator, to receive your creator, to receive the knowledge of your creator. Okay, and when we talk about the 12 strands, it's very important because the science books or the metaphysical books are actually, science books are actually telling you in a metaphysical way when it's talking about the, say it's the Bible, when it's talking about the New Testament, when Jesus and the 12 disciples, the 12 strands Okay, the 12 disciples, the 12 tribes, the 12 seasons, the 12 strands when you talk about the Kabbalah and you talk about the tree of life. Okay, so now we can understand that even up until this point in the Kabbalah, they don't teach you the 12 chakras, right? They teach you that you have 7, right? Or they teach you you have 9. But they don't teach you that you have 12. You have 12 chakras being in 12 seasons, 12 months, correlating with all those 12 dimensional things. So this 12. Let's allow Dr. Blair to explain it a little bit, and then we're going to get into this 12. The Archangel, Michael, 12-strand DNA activation. Because you got to understand what you call chakras, right? Or what they call chakras, and you understand are the actual lights within the in the body, what the pineal gland would actually activate. Your pineal gland. Remember your DNA, your 432, the vibration who activate that actual pineal gland. Information activates the pineal gland. So therefore, that's why what's going on in this time, you're becoming a priest king. You're learning who your ancestors are. You're learning the origins. You know what I'm saying? When they talk about you being dracons and dragon people, we're talking about from your ancestral lineage. This is Lemuria. This is Atlantis. These are your ancestors. These were the only people that were able to follow the laws of the Most High. Because of that lineage, that Levitican lineage, that dragon lineage. That's what this is all about. And all this is about me trying to activate you. You are not a necro. You are not death. You are living, and you need living organisms to live. So it all makes sense. Just hold up a second. Just give it a second.
The original people who took on bodies on this planet had 12 DNA strands entwined together. In each of the cells, there were 12 DNA strands. The people were gods. Some of you, and I heard the brother talk about before I left again, and I know the way he put it out, some of you may have gotten lost, but as he said, it would come back to you on the subconscious plane. That there are 7 chakra centers, and I'm sure many of you have studied that, but there are 5 exterior chakra centers. 7 and 5 make what?
12. Okay, and that's interesting, because when we learned about the tree of life, now what they were teaching, even the European Jews didn't know about the 12. At least they didn't teach you. They only taught you about the 9, and then they left out the 10th one, was with the throat, because the tongue evaluates the throat. The throat is the vibration. So the throat is and what comes from the throat is that vibration, what octaves of what words that you use. If you would speak the ancient Hebrew language, or versus if you were speaking Babylonian language. So if you were speaking a language that reverbed in you in death. So the language of death. So you have to overstand and overlook at things to say that, am I living or am I dying? Am I living? Am I dying? Am I speaking the language of dead? Am I speaking? Am I eating non-pulse foods? Pulse meaning vegetables. Pulse. And we'll get into that. Pulse meaning vegetables. Daniel ate pulse foods. We'll get into that. So it's about, am I living or am I dying? Okay? Because You know, they want to put this old like witchcraft on your shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's no, man. You have those powers. You're not calling on the dead because you don't die. You multiply. Energy doesn't die. It can't dissipate. You know what I'm saying? So it just goes into something else or goes somewhere else. So your soul cannot die. Your body, your flesh dies. So you're not worshiping the dead by calling on your ancestors. They're living still. So dodge your hijack. Dodge your own damn hijack, man.
That is the last vestiges that we have now on the subliminal plane of when we were able to master all 12 degrees of those consciousnesses, because a alien form came here.
Okay, now hold up. Now that being the 12 degrees that he's talking about would be this tree of life. Now I'm going to show you. Watch. Okay. Watch. This tree of life right here. Remember I told you? Let me show you. Right here. This tree of life right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now they have 10. They have 10. But they're missing something. This would be the throat. So this is now this would be your catcher. The top of your crown. This would be the top of your crown now. From me, this would be Bina, Ahchwa, Chesed, Gabor. This is the angel Gabriel. Okay? All you have these qualities within you. All these angels you will have within you. So this is the Anu. Anu. What they say on your dollar bill. Anu. Okay? On the back of your dollar bill it says a new concept or a new something, but this will be your sephiroths or your chakras or your crystals. Okay? But they're missing some because they don't want to give you all. Then he broke that down. Dr. Blair said that there were 12. Now I think that 12 being the mother and father, even it's the 12, the other 2 is of a lower, so this of a lower self anyway. So let me see. This is Anu or catcher, Bina, Ahchwa, Chesed, Gabora, Chesed, Gabora, Chesed, Gabora, Melkut. This is Hassad, Yesad, and Melkut. Yesad and Melkut. Catcher, Anu, Ahchwa, Bina, or Bina, Ahchwa, Chesed, Gabriel, Hassad, and Yesad and Melkut. Let me see if we can find this in the English. In the English. Let me see if we can find it in English. Okay, here we go right here. Bam. Okay, this is catcher, the crown. Okay, this is Ahchwa. This is Bina for understanding. Ahchwa is the angel for wisdom. Okay, but see, you have to understand that's layman's term. That's when you talk about angel. This is actually your attributes. Okay, this is actually once you open up into your consciousness. This will become, you understand your crown and your wisdom. Okay, the crown is Hawa, and your wisdom and your understanding. And Gabriel represents power. Okay, so they put up statues and and have you worshiping the death of things, but actually the angel Gabriel worships power. Chesed is mercy. Tiferet is beauty. Tiferet, that's what it is. Tiferet. Okay, Tiferet would be beauty. That's the heart. So that would be in esoteric terms of what, when they say Jesus, the heart of the world, the Torah. Overstand, the Torah is the heart of the world. So Tiferet would be the Torah, or the heart. You see how the heart is extended to all, through all your, these pillars, or these lines. That the heart, or your arteries. These arteries all connect to your heart. So your heart would be the strength that connects to your crown and to every light within. To every light within. So you have Tiferet in the middle. Chesed means mercy. Okay, now you see this. These are your layers. Your itsLife and your, these are your different layers. You have 3 different layers and you have 3 different pillars, man. We can get into this. Okay, you have the veil, the Netzah, your side, and Had. That's your majesty, your foundation, your victory. And then the lower kingdom, your lower kingdom, down at your feet, your lower self, your animalistic self, is your Malkut. This is what the Jews try to teach you. That's why I'm telling you, coming into your priest kingdom, you have to overstand this. Okay, it's a different from embodying and trying to third party this information. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people try to third party this information, and that's when you become what they call possessed. Okay, but this is you. This is your body. This is your, what they call your Allah, or this is your body. This is the body of Hawa. This is you. Okay, so where's the 12? They didn't mention the Dahat, which would be the throat. The Dahat would be the throat. This is above your heart. Your throat would be right here. Okay, that would be your Dahat. So that would be 11 then, because we got 10 right here. So that would be 11. So where's 12? Where is 12? Where is 12? Okay, where would 12 be? Okay, Keter, Ahchwa or Chakma, Ahchwa, Bina, Chesed, Gabora, Tiferet, Netzah, Had, Yesod. Yesod. Yesod is your foundation. Melkut. So you want to break this. You want to starve this. Okay? This separates the foundation, right? This separates. You don't want this to be the foundation. You want to separate the foundation. Bring it up to the catcher, to the crown, and bring it all down, and grab your lower self, your lower kingdom, and cloak it with your crown. You cloak it with your crown. This is all you do. This is all the things you do within your mind. You cloak it with your crown, so therefore this protects this. Therefore this you no longer need this, your lower self. Because now you brought your catcher down to embody this, take it back up. See, once you learn all your esoterics, then you can take what you call a Kabbalah and overstand that it just means the tree of life, to receive the tree of life. Okay, instead of thinking it's some esoteric meaning of sun worship. That's what it's about when it's becoming a priest. I know this is long and drawn out, but man, it's only for those, the real ones, who's going to sit and listen, man. That's what it's about. Alright, so we're going to get back into this video. We're chopping it. We're breaking it down. So now we know that it's 12, because it's always, the 12 was always there. It was always there. It was always there. You know what I'm saying? Your 12 disciples in the New Testament. Your 12 months. I said seasons at first. Break down in 4, and then, but you know it's 3 quarters of this of each month. So it's 4 quarters, which we break it down. So it's 3 months of every so-called season. But anyway, it's 12 months that travel through the seasons, through this geological plane. Okay, so we're just breaking it down, Dr. Delbert Blair. And this is all going to revolt back to the Naga. Okay, not the Necro, the Naga.
Smash or RNA DNA patterns, set up a double helix, and left us functioning with two. From a system with people who could take 12, and if any of you are geneticists or understand anything about RNA and DNA valences, and so, if you have 12 strands of DNA, and now we only have two, and one of those has a helix that isn't operating, this would simply mean like this. You had a computer that had endless programs and a coaxial cable with endless power. You could put as many programs into that computer as you had time to spend studying your computer.
So that makes sense. So it makes sense. It makes sense that they don't give you the 12 because of the time of prophecy as far as opening up the 12 strands. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Archangel Michael, 12-strand DNA activation, the perfected human, the perfected man, 12 DNA enhance. Okay, you have to, there's enhancing in your DNA strand. Check it out. To the 12 multi-dimensional crystal chakra ports to access all data in your Akash records. Remember we talked about that Akash records? That's in you. That's in you. That's what the Archangel Michael represents, okay? For years, science has recognized that we have 2 active physical strands of DNA. We also have further 10. So that's what Dr. Delbert Blair is talking about. The 2 that they only been allowing you to use by giving you the ideas in library of only the books they only want you to read, or definitions they only want you to know, of only having access to certain language. You know, this Arabic, who George Jackson says, rest in power, George G. Jackson, said that that language is hard to speak because it's basically a cursed language because it's a backward language. Life means death in the Arabic language. Okay, so therefore you have these languages that actually just have cursed meanings, definitions. Okay, and you don't know the so we also have a further 10 energetic, okay, DNA strands which have been dormant within the human or the man body for many centuries, okay? But this is you, okay? They're trying to say this is for everybody, but this is just for you, Naga. Okay, you have the 12 strands, Naga. Okay, and anybody that has your blood is able to tap into this 12-strand conscience. Okay, been dormant within the human being for many centuries, or into the man for many centuries. Okay, these dormant strands of DNA have been discovered by scientists who, not knowing the function of these strands, have identified them as junk. Okay, but we know this ain't junk, and y'all all know the scientist has been paid to classify DNA as junk. There is no such thing as DNA being junk. No such thing. But just for us to think that is a curse. Okay? These 10 previous dormant strands account for the mass of the brain that has not been accessible. That has not been accessible. These are the 10 that account for the brain that has not been accessible. So, these 10 previous dormant within you, Naga, strands account for the mass of the brain that has not been accessible. Okay? Deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, is a nucleic acid that contains all the genetic instructions. We know what genetic, right? Genetic instructions used in the development and functioning of all known living things. Okay? That reminds me of what? The Voynich manuscript, where he talked about all the living organisms. You are in connection with that, my living bread. My living bread. Not leavened bread, my living bread, all right? It's a difference. The main role of DNA is the long-term storage of information. The DNA is often compared to a set of blueprints since it contains the instructions needed to construct other components of cells. All right? So we waking this up. We waking this up. Remember, we had no platform to explain it. Now we waking it up. This is the platform. 432, we is the platform, the 10 strands. The 10 strands of the DNA. The DNA segments that carry genetic information are called genes. We are the genes, but other DNA sequences have structural purposes or are involved in regulating the use of genetic information. Wow, other strands are regulating your genetic information. Our DNA is therefore our personal blueprint set forth by first source and the 7 seaters of the worlds, and contains all our mental, physical. The 7 seaters of the world sounds like the 7 harmonic vibrations, doesn't it? Okay, the 7 seaters of the world sounds like the 7 harmonic vibration, which is energy, sound, vibration, you understand, in the sequence of time. Okay, mental, physical, emotion, spiritual information, all of this information is referred to as the Akashic, or all the data that comprises this universe, the Akash records. For close to 500,000 years, humanity has only been able to access a limited frequency or reality using 2 plugged in DNA strands. DNA is the holographic and multi-dimensional medium for transmitting and receiving the data of the universe. DNA is linked directly to language, and one causes the other to behave in a matching way. So change the DNA and they change you, Naga. You understand what I'm saying? And that's one way that they done it. But it's so simple to change your DNA by just changing your thoughts. I don't have to change your DNA by breeding. I can change your DNA just by giving you certain words to remember over and over again. Or by programming you, or by putting a spell on you. You understand that? One of the greatest revelations one can reach is to understand that they can be and should be the sole programmer of their DNA. You understand that? One of the greatest revelations one can reach is to understand that they can be and should be the sole programmer of their DNA. Since DNA is an interconnected neutral network throughout the cosmos and into you, and since space and time have no effect on DNA, when you change your DNA, you change everything in your entire universe. Raise up your DNA, level up, vibrate up. That's why we keep telling you to vibrate up, to stay in the vibration. I understand. El put it down. Kwam, Yasharala. It is important to understand that light is simply information or data. To be more precise, gamma photon light. What many may not be aware of is this light. Gamma photon light is what we are speaking of when we say language, teaching, words, messages, code, a program, a certain other data sources such as music, geometry, and art. Gamma photon. Okay, so you can't be gamma phobic. Okay, in a broader explanation of what this light is, it's everything you perceive or sense. The only variable is that this data is the frequency or structure of it. That data is the frequency structure of your light. How much data or what type of data do you have? The complexity and the level of detail of a form of pattern. The more light or data it contains, you take this light into the body when you sense or perceive the thing. When the data is transmitted into the body vehicle, it is stored in the crystalline structure, in your crystals of the cells, and primarily the bone structure of the body. Okay, so this is deep. So we have to open up our strands. We got to vibrate, and we have to genetically remember. And that's what we're doing. We're remembering, family, Shabbat Ta. We're remembering, and we remembering the Shabbat, and remembering about the land, and remembering what happened. Okay, and that is opening up the DNA strands. Okay, in ascension terms, the more you are aware or conscious of things, the higher your internal frequency is. Okay, the more you are aware or conscious of things, the higher your internal frequency is. Okay, the more you vibrate when you are aware, meaning you match the faster vibrating, more complex forms of data. Okay, from that we call lighter densities or higher realms or lighter densities. Okay, in reality, these realms are not higher. They are faster vibrations now and here. Faster vibrations here, okay, within your realm. But this only a nickname when you call it realm. Faster vibrations. That's why these unidentified objects, so called, can move in those, in that frequency positions, because it's moving at a different vibration. It's moving at a different light, speed of light. Okay? So they match in the vibration more complex forms of data from what we call lighter densities or higher realms. In reality, these realms are not higher. They are faster vibrations of now and here. Faster vibrations of now and here. So they're not realms. They're faster vibrations of now and here. Wow. Wow. Bang, 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 bang. And so that means all these realms, or so-called realms, or faster vibrations, exist within our realm. Okay, so this is not impossible. We're not talking fairy tale. That's why you have to understand who you are, Naga, because this is not a fairy tale. Inside the 3D matrix, an artificial frequency fence was put in place to filter out this complex information. Do you understand this? The words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you understand the words? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, it's crazy. So inside the 3D matrix, right, where you at now, there's an artificial frequency fence. Artificial frequency fence was put in place to filter out this complex information. So every day, 3D humans would not be aware of any reality other than the one programmed for them. Wow. Wow. This reality was programmed to specifically not promote sentient life, but to draw all the energy from the sentience using trickery, okay, illusion, distraction, trauma, control, drama, force, waste, theft, lack, and much more to pull off the grandest scheme ever perpetrated in any universe. The draining of life force. The draining of life force from the entire planetary race of divine beings. They are draining your life when you indulge in their delicacies. They are draining your life when you indulge in their television programs, in their languages, because they die off death, and you are the living of life. So the 3D matrix is an artificial frequency fence that was put in place to filter out this complex information that you're supposed to be in. Okay, but you're doing what the devil wants you to do. The devil is the enemy. So everyday 3D humans would not be aware of this reality, other than the one that was programmed for them. So you're not aware of the gamma photon. Okay, you're not aware of these different higher vibrations. Okay? You're not aware of the trickery. The reality was programmed to specifically not promote sentient life. Sentient life. Sentient life.
Wikipedia, sentience is the capacity to feel, perceive, or experience subjectively. 18th century philosophers used the concept to distinguish the ability to think from the ability to feel, sentience.
That's very deep. The ability to think and feel in reality. Sentient life. So someone has mastered a trickery of illusion, distraction through the news, right? Distraction through the music, distraction through the television, right? Through the media, trauma. Always something bad happening, right? On TV, creating catastrophes, right? Catastrophic events. Control. Democracy is control. Control, you give up your rights by signing away, right? Drama. Drama. We don't even have to go there because we already know about drama. Dramatic. You're all about drama. Okay? And then they use force. Alright? Force and waste, theft, lack, and much more in the grandest schemes ever perpetrated in any universe. In any universe. In any universe, this shit worked, man. That's what they saying. This is the biggest scheme in any universe. In any universe that you think that you just dwindle and dwine in these so-called luxuries. The draining of life force from the entire planetary race, which is you, of divine beings. As strong angelic beings, we like to always insert good news after we tell you what happened to you. So the good news is, it is the dawn of a new day, and many of us have already elevated our way of being to a level where every day we see less and less of the old paradigm. Huh? That's true for my Shabbat, right? The dawn of a new day. Many of us have already elevated to our level of being, where every day we see less and less of the old paradigm. That's why you have to vibrate, even if you don't want to. Even if someone has died in your family, or a loved one has left you, or someone has abandoned you, or whatever it may be, or your dog got hit by a cat, or you understand what I'm saying. You have to vibrate. You have to vibrate by any means necessary. By any means necessary. We realize that we are sovereign creators, and we create and live in a world that vibrates with beauty, love, peace, freedom, and harmony. That's why you have to step up to your priest's kingdom. You have to see your kingdom. We create and live in a better world where there is no suffering, not only for ourselves, but we are aware. But we are here on a mission holding light in our bodies for those who cannot do it yet. My brother L is holding light in his bodies for those who cannot do it yet. Show penance to the Creator. Reason over passion. We are the Anasazi. We are the what you call the Anunnaki. That's why I told you. We create and live in a better world where there is no suffering. Not only for ourselves, but we are on a mission holding light in our bodies for those who cannot do it yet. We came to ensure the well-being of all beings that dwell on the earth. Everything is going to be okay. This light data we speak of is what comprises the reality you perceive, so you can only imagine what reality world could be experienced above the low vibrational, harsh, male dominant energy 3D level. Does this mean that you will not continue to exist in the 3D matrix as you ascend to faster, vibrating, more blissful realities? By no means. First of all, you cannot exist in physical form unless you are inside a hologram, a body. Okay, many light workers still do not realize that even the new earth is still located inside a holographic matrix, just a much nicer one. The only way to exit the matrix is to become non-physical. But as we explain below, this is not part of your overall plan. You came here to enjoy your 5 senses, and the big secret is you are simply God in the body experiencing yourself in a physical way. Not only in a human form, but also in the form of everything that exists in the universe. This is who and what you truly are. And knowing this is the highest attainment that can be reached. Along with this knowing of your real identity, you begin to discover and start using the power you have. How much power do you think you have? You will know fully when you become aware of it all. This is a good point to let you know that there is a shortcut in all this, and I'm not going to hit you over the head with that. Ain't no shortcut. You got to vibrate up, man. You got to meditate. You got to vibrate. You have to know who you are. So when the angel kept asking Dr. Delbert Blair, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? He kept saying, I'm Delbert Blair. I'm down there. He said the man was getting mad. He wanted to do something to him. He wanted to do something to him. He wanted to do something to him. Why? Was he just Dr. Delbert Blair? Are you just such and such, such and such? Are you just such and such, such and such? No, you are life existence on this planetary. You are the divine race of beings. You are the angelic beings. And it is a dawn of a new day. You have to elevate your way of being to a level where every day you see less and less of your old paradigm. You have to look at this shit a totally different way. Like the Sakari had to. The help is here, the help been here. The help never left. You have to vibrate up. Come on, man. Come on, Dr. DB. Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. I hope y'all still awake. Because you knew in the beginning of this video that we were going somewhere. Come on, Dr. Blair.
And then somebody came and outside of 3,000 programs left you with 2. Do you think you would have lost something? That is what the black man feels when he cries out and can no longer do the things that inwardly he knows he's supposed to be able to do. He misses his 10 other DNA strands.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't even have the master programs to access the file anymore because the helixes are broken. Now, the key to restoration of the 12 strands is in the Kabbalah. Why?
Didn't we just show you that? The Kabbalah, the tree of life, because the Kabbalah is the tree of life. You got to know the tree of life. You got to know what's within. You got to know your mercy, your meekness, your mildness to the Creator. You have to serve wholeheartedly the Creator with your tiferet. With your tiferet, you have to serve wholeheartedly. You have to let your heart vibrate in all to all your angels inside of you. To all your crystals inside of you, your heart has to resonate. And that helps with Daniel's diet. We'll get into that. Hold on.
Because that symbol represents a double melatonin molecule. Just that simple. Look it up.
Those 10 strands, or those 10 tribes, represent a double melatonin molecule. The genetics, that's what he's saying, the genetics. The genetics, you need to know who you are. This is that platform, Ame'rican.
With, as the brother just talked about, again, before I take Reverend Valentine, with the new vibrations, the new...
Shouts out to brother Phil Valentine. That's who Dr. Blair was referring to.
Electromagnetic energies coming in now past our sun, which used to filter them out, but now is allowing them to come directly to us. With this new radiation, with these new gamma rays coming in, this is agitating the membranes and causing what they call now garbage DNA. How many of you have ever heard that term? They even teach it in some of these stupid schools, garbage DNA. Huh? There is no such thing as garbage DNA.
That's right.
That is the fractured thing that an intelligence that took over this planet caused to happen to its spiritual people. So they had to learn a lesson. This garbage DNA are now entwining, vibrating, and that's why you're out here tonight in spite of the ice and snow. And the person that asked me on the air about UFOs, I didn't even mention the subject, let me know that you were ready. And therefore...
You see what it means? That even in the rain and snow, you vibrate. You go to where you need to go. You do what has to be done even in the rain and snow. We have to vibrate. That's why we've been here for 2 years nonstop. Because we need to vibrate. And we have to, by any means necessary. We are the mem. We are the blood. We are the mem. We are the water. We are the mem. We are the memory.
Or I'm going to take the chance and tell you some truths that most of you are still researching. I'll save you some time in hopes that we can get on with the job that is needed. When these garbage DNAs now become the restored 10, the 12 lost tribes, the 12 lost strands, and come together once more, they can create the 13th anomaly, the 13th planet that blew itself off, causing all of our problems in this solar system in the first place, and whose denizens have now reincarnated here, giving us the hell we're catching. When these strands now, with the new sun energies that were not present before, so you couldn't do it. If you can do, as your brother said, and as inwardly all of you have felt, and I'll give you a reading now, each of you know that this year, and in fact it probably started with some of you 5 years ago, you're supposed to change the way you did things. Some of you have. Some of you have slipped and you've chastised. But you know...
Some of you have slipped and you have chastised. You have chastised. He said within the 5 years, and this is an ancient video, but this is relevant to today. Within the 5 years, have a lot of us changed. Within the last 5 years, have a lot of us vibrations have lifted.
There's a better way and you should be following it. Some of you have
Within the last 5 years, have we not witnessed the Torah? Within the last 2 years, we have learned so much information.
fought like mad to get active in politics, and you've tried, but you know no longer is it really valid, and there's a better way, and I got to spend some time with that too. Some of you dropped out of some of your churches, not because you didn't love the choir, not because you didn't love the fine clothes, not because you didn't like the people, but the soul food was missing. It was not cooked right. Now, once you get the good soul food, the old soul food goes away, and you start searching for a different cook. Well,
And what that means. Oh, it's beautiful what that means. You look for a different cook. And what that means when you find yourself and when you find the Creator, you look for a different kind of food, right? Even in your everyday life. So examples like, see, you learn through watching TV and all these commercials that you learn you cook with Cuzco oil, right? You learn to cook with Cuzco oil. But then when you wake up, you learn to cook with what? Coconut oil, herb. See, when you sleep, you know nothing about the herb. Nothing. When you wake up, you understand that the herb is the healer. So then another thing you learn is that when you bathe, just from watching the program, the television, through the commercials, the $1 million commercials, you learned that you bathe with all these different types of soap, like Dial, like Lever, or whatever that, and all these soaps that you think you're supposed to use, Dawn soap, and all these soaps, these detergents that dry your skin out, because that's what they're trying to get you to do. They're trying to dry you out. Remember, on the pH scale, if your pH is at a 3.5, you are dead. Okay, so did you know lemons have a 2 pH? So all of us Nagas that like lemons, they only at a 2. So you got to go with the lime. So you got to understand that all these traps are for us, to dry us out, to not for you not to be able to connect directly with your Creator, and you need a king. So you cooking with poison, you bathing with poison, you washing your hair with poison, till you learn that now you wash your hair with peppermint oil, or you wash your hair with lavender, which is all herbs. If you can't eat it, if you can't put it in your mouth, if you can't swallow it, then you don't use it. So what do you brush your teeth with? On the toothpaste, what does it say? It say don't swallow. It say don't swallow. You're going to have to take your ass to the doctor, right? But see, the toothpaste we use, there's no fluoride, there's no harmful products. It's all natural. Now you can find you a neem, a leaf, a mint leaf to brush your teeth. You don't have to brush your teeth with toothpaste. So you have to vibrate up. You have to change your strands. Who said you have to brush your teeth with toothpaste? You can find mint and brush your teeth with mint oil. But if you want to do the toothpaste, because it has that the harsh that gets the stuff off your teeth, then there's neem toothpaste. There's another toothpaste, a non-fluoride toothpaste that just is a mint leaf, that extracted from a mint leaf to clean your teeth. So you understand what I'm saying? Lotion. Lotion is a killer. Baby powder, we just found out, causes cancer. What do you think lotion does? Instead, you can use coconut oil to even use as a lotion to lather up. I use apricot oil. So therefore, man, there's so many. Get into the essence of your essential oils. That's life. That's living. We have to transform what we know to a higher plateau.
We are the cooks. We must prepare our own food. Therefore, nobody can take anything away from thou and thee that present and prepares your own table. No longer will they be able to take away a church or a leader. You will become the church and the leader.
Do you understand that? They will not be able to take a leader of a church, because all of us will become leaders. So to take one leader, you have to kill us all. That's unifying off of one voice, not one man unifying us, unifying off of one voice. So therefore, we all are leaders. We all are priest kings. This is power. This is power from the highest. This is power of the one who brought you Moshe in the 5 books.
You always were, you just didn't know it. Now you must awaken to that concept. And for those of you, be they mother, father, sister, brother, husband, or wife, who cannot take that stand with you, do not denounce them, but do not wait for them. The planet needs you now.
Ooh. Ooh.
2 in the field, 1 chosen, 1 called. It's happening. How do you make contact with one? With all your heart and all your soul. And then you get the right contact. Other than that, you might get what they call an abduction. Like many of the United States government people are abducting people and blaming it on aliens because they do have spacecraft now, and the time for the showdown is at hand.
So he's saying the government is abducting people. So he's saying they're not going to abduct you. If your heart is true, your brothers and sisters, your ancestors will come to you, man. This is your gene. This is your gene pool. You have to understand you are of a higher power. You have to light up those vibrations and those annotations. Let's check this out. I want to check this out too. Spiritual higher plane. And I got some other stuff too I want to check out. The occult lecture behind the veil of the universe, metaphysics, and its 4 aspects. So this will be a good one to check out for that too. But it's an hour and 4, man, according to this time. Since I started, what has changed? I think a lot. I think within this hour and 46 minutes, we've unveiled a lot of information, even if it might have been repetitive. Repetitive is good. Repetition is the father of learning. Okay? So, when you get time, check out that tree of life. Okay? Check out the tree of life. Understand your God body. Embody your father. And that comes with understanding, wisdom, power, beauty, mercy, victory, majesty, foundation, and recognizing your kingdom. Recognizing your kingdom. That's what that come with, man. Recognizing your kingdom. And it's time for all of us to level up. You heard what Dr. Blair said. It's time for all of us to level up. You heard him. You heard him. I'm gonna just take it on out too with him, you know.
If you do not cloak yourself in truth, if you do not have a core that cannot be shaken under the worst oppression, where fear enters in and causes you to lose your electromagnetic field, you will suffer physical harm. If you can become so resolute and so believe in your Creator, and vibrate and do the things that at least you can do to dial the number for the Creator, you will have confidence that will grow on a minute-to-minute basis until you will feel that you can contact your Creator alone. If this gives you problems, that's okay, but you're not ready. If it doesn't, and you know inwardly that you should be able to do that because inwardly you feel that you do have the potential to be a God, and I did not say a universal prime creator, I said a God, then go for it, because now is the time. Not only is the diet necessary, because the more meat in the diet, the harder it is for you to concentrate on anything that is not physical. And the more energy you will burn up, that you could be developing psychic powers trying to digest food, and plus you can't pick up the higher frequencies of the callings that are being broadcast to you. That's why the need for the change in diet that most of you feel. Why the need for also giving up the cigarettes and the drinks, because they also slow you down, and on your tippy toes jumping up and down, the higher forces, the heavenly angels, still have to hold their nose and reach through the mire to reach you.
To reach you. Where is Horma? Remember we called him Lion, said Horma was a city where the Canaanites defeated. Nah, man. Horma was that city where we finally defeated these Canaanites. So, Daniel had a diet? What? In modern versions of Daniel's fast, they call it Daniel fast, but this was food Daniel ate every day. Food choices may be limited to whole grain, fruits, vegetable, pulses. What are pulses? Pulses are veggies, food with a pulse, nuts, seeds, and oil. The Daniel fast prescribes the vegan diet in that it excludes the consumption of animal products. The diet also excludes processed foods, additives, preservatives, flavorings, sweeteners, caffeine, alcohol, and products made with white flour. This is the Daniel diet. El Kwam Yasharala. We introduced this diet. El introduced this diet on his family a minute ago. So he went public with the elimination of the animal products. So Halil Hawa. This is that Daniel fast. This is how you vibrate to your Creator. This is how you vibrate within. This is how you level up. The Daniel fast is a spiritually motivated diet based on the biblical book of Daniel and commonly refers to a 10 or 21-day abstinence from foods declared unclean by Hawa and the law of Moshe. Okay?
So at least meet them halfway. The thoughts that you hold as you sleep, as you wake, as you traverse and go about your daily occupations, as you do everything, are pretty much constant and reach a certain frequency, because some of you will not slip past a certain thought progression. You only go so low now. And anything that threatens to take you past that, you will reject. That's why you're having to reject some old friends. And you're fortunate if you get one a lifetime. Some old philosophies, some old habits, and reaching out and jumping out into space where you're not sure what's there, but you know something is telling you if you're going to do it. The world's governments are shook to their core. They thought they could play gods forever. They thought that they could let the most dynamic placed people ever to be put upon a physical planet in a free will zone. They thought they had them beaten and down, and doggone it, once more, here they come, arising and awakening, shouting, but this time with a chorus that is shaking the very heavens.
Woo!
Because you are beginning to understand who you really are. They say that the Hubble telescope doesn't work. They lie. The Hubble telescope worked too well. It brought back pictures of Cydonia on Mars, and it blew them up so anybody could see. Professor Hoagland addressed the UN at the beginning of last year, January, and told them how the world scientific community was up in arms because all of the Vikings, NASA's little things that were sent to Mars and flybys, and all of the things that were being spent with your money, your tax dollars that the international bankers milk you from daily, and they know you suffer and they love every minute of it, that they had found something on Mars that should have been shared with the world community, and they didn't want to do it. They found in Cydonia, they just call that the place that they chose to call that, a 5-sided pyramid and a sphinx.